It's Friday, which means we have another Friday night spotlight presented by Canalta Hotels and IKS Media coming your way. I'm your host tonight, Clark Monroe. Welcome in. It's a big weekend coming up with 13 games across the league, but tonight we're going to focus in on one specific one between two pretty hot teams right now, and that is the Yorkton Terriers at the Kindersley Clippers at Inter Pipeline Arena in Kindersley. Let's bring in my co-host today, Jamie Neugebauer. Jamie, it's been a great start to the season so far. We're into December now. It's our first weekend in December, and tonight's matchup specifically is going to be an interesting one. Don't you think?
It is, and it's the first matchup between these two teams this year. It's funny, we're in December. Usually teams have played each other by now, but
at least once.
Obviously they're not division rivals, but they play similar styles. They play hard. It should be a fun night.
It should be a fun night, and let's maybe look at the league standings right now to kind of tell you why tonight's matchup is so interesting. As we look ahead, as we look at what's been going on so far, we see the Flin Flon Bombers. They kind of skyrocketed to the top of the list. Our home team tonight, the Kindersley Clippers, were at the top of the list, but a couple of losses to Flin Flon has pushed them down a little bit. The Weyburn Red Wings got a win earlier this week against our visiting team tonight, the Yorkton Terriers, so they are now 34 points in second place. Nipawin's at 33 points in third. Estevan is tied with Kindersley right now in fourth place with 31 points. Battleford's with 28, Yorkton with 28, Humboldt with 27, holding on to that final playoff spot. And Nugsy, when I talk about tonight's matchups and this weekend as a whole, a lot can change this weekend with 13 games across the league over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yorkton, with a win tonight, and they play Kindersley again tomorrow, have a chance to push themselves into a potential top 5 spot in the league this weekend. Among other things, is that one of the storylines that you're paying attention to most with this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the rest of the season is going to be crazy, and it has been crazy because it's so jumbled, it's so bunched. What is it? There are 8 points between first and 8th.
Yeah.
So it's every game between, especially between 1 and 10, and even 11 and 12 push people hard.
Yeah.
It's always tough in the SJ, but you took a look at it purely standings wise. I don't know what you can take from it, other than the fact that these are 4 critical points, and especially at home, the Kindersley Clippers feel like they probably should be doing better points wise than they have been given the roster.
Sure.
So this will mean a lot to them. Yorkton's a very good road team. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, exactly. Let's look at the league leaders in scoring right now. A few players that are playing tonight are on this list. So let's start with Ewan Rennie and Jacob Streetsy and Riley Williams leading the way, and then there's a little bit of a gap. After that, you see Gabriel Korshane and Jai Zawatsky right there. Teammates, of course, for Yorkton tonight. Avery Johnson for Kindersley. Nugsy, you see these players on this list. However, I look at both teams, Kindersley especially. They got some very deep roster. A lot of scoring by committee, I find. More Kindersley than Yorkton. Yorkton, I feel like, has really that one elite line, and I'll let you talk about that in just a sec when we dive more into Yorkton. But Kindersley, to me, has a very deep group of 12 forwards, a good, solid blue line with a lot of guys who can contribute. Is that how you look at this matchup tonight, where one team is very balanced, one team maybe a little bit more on the elite top-end variety?
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I think I mentioned it in the opening. Certainly, there's the performance of Zawatsky and Korshane. Have been terrific, and William Leonard on that line too. We can't forget him because he does so much for them.
Yeah, 16 goals.
I still see these forward cores as very similar. I think there's some guys on Kindersley that again, feel like that they could be producing a little bit more. I'm not trying to be critical. I just think that there is, talent. Even Avery Johnson, I think his talent level is so high. You look at a Western Hockey League experienced guy named like Van Egger, where is he? Brock Evans, where is he? Like, you go down the list. I think it's just so similar that, these are guys that know how to play. Now, certainly, we know the names of the Kindersley players maybe a bit more than the guys down on the Yorkton list, but again, they're all workmanlike. They all they all play the right way. They all play the way that the SJHL kind of demands, that 200-foot game, unselfish game, and what's going to be, what that equation equals is a playoff style type of hockey game.
Right, exactly, and we'll probably see one of those tonight, especially because they play each other again tomorrow night. These two teams. Let's have a look at the goaltenders now as we kind of wrap up our league at a glance. Our look around the league. Charlie Tritt leads the way for Humboldt. His numbers have come down to earth a little bit from his start. However, they're still amazing. He's still leading the league in a lot of categories. Kason Kabelka for Melfort has been such a good piece and so needed for them after Madden Malaka's health status has not been crystal clear to start the season. Devin Peck's numbers have been going up for Flin Flon over this win streak. Gage Roberts has been putting together an elite season. Nathan Cam has been really great in Estevan, coming in a backup role, but he's really put up some great numbers for them. Noah Sinagowitz in Melville has put up some great numbers in his rookie campaign, but newcomer Matthew Spencer Dahl for Melville might eat into those numbers a little bit as he gets more playing time. And then you see Callum Craig, not projected to be the starting goaltender tonight. Montoya is the projected starting goaltender for Yorkton tonight. But then you see Brett O'Halloran down there, and a guy that's not on this list is Matthias Radke for Kindersley. Both guys have been really solid for the Clippers. We'll dive into that. Let's go ahead and show the two teams' comparisons as we start this matchup tonight. We look at two teams that have very similar goal differentials, Nugsy. 89 goals for Yorkton, 97 goals for Kindersley, but in terms of goals for and against, very close to the same, both positive, which is great. A lot of penalty minutes between these two teams, and a lot of special teams success between these two teams, which is something that last time we did Spotlight, we looked at a team that was very heavily good special teams versus a team that was not very good on the special teams. Both of these teams having a lot of success on the special teams so far this year.
Yeah. Hey, don't take penalties in this game.
No.
Either way, you talk about how good their power plays are. This game is also situated perfectly for the power plays for either team because Yorkton has the best road power play in the league. It's even better than their overall power play. Their road power play is 25.5%.
Wow.
Kindersley's home power play is the second best. I bet you can guess who has the best home power play in the league if you were just to make one guess.
Flin Flon?
It would rhyme with the Schminchmon Bombers.
Schminchmon Schmommers?
The Schminchmon Schmommers. But the 24% is the second best power play, home power play. So if this game is 10-9 in power play chances, it's maybe 10-9 on the scoreboard.
Right.
But you know what? Hey, both of these teams believe in their goaltending well, so it should be very interesting. Both teams. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say.
I was just going to say too, and I don't know if we're going to dive into rosters, but both teams are missing probably their number one defenseman as well. Obviously, Kindersley won't be without Jackson Hurchak. Yorkton without Tommy Reese, so that'll be interesting too.
Well, let's have a look at Yorkton now, the visiting team for tonight's game, of course, led by that amazing trio of Gabriel Corshane, Jai Zawatsky, and William Leonard. Leonard tied for second in the league in goals with 16 so far this year. Of course, Tommy Reese, you just mentioned him. He will not be in the lineup tonight as he is away with Team Canada West at the World Junior A Challenge. Cash Lanigan, a super rookie season for him so far. The youngster has been playing fantastic alongside Vinay Junek, the 20-year-old from Yorkton, the local boy. A very good performance the other night in Weyburn, I thought. We were there at that game. Tylen Hendrickson, the captain, just a solid piece in that lineup and a really good contributor. He does a lot of things for this team. Evan Ald's having a good year. Riley Cormier is going to have to step up tonight in the absence of Tommy Reese, the veteran defenseman there. And then Aiden Valance. Maybe we'll talk to head coach Emery Lawson about him. He's been hot lately after missing some games on the off the ice just as a healthy scratch. He's jumped right back in and he's been performing. And you see Callum Craig and Alejandro Montoya down there as the goaltenders putting up solid numbers. So when you see this list for Yorkton, what stands out to you in terms of how this team is built?
Yeah, and you know, I think I mentioned it there, like Corshane, Zawatsky, Leonard, those guys have been really performing all year, but they're starting to get that depth from lower down in the lineup, not just younger guys, but older guys too. Obviously, their captain is Tylen Hendrickson. People maybe forget that, but he's on a long point streak. He's got a 6-game point streak going. He's starting to score. Does he score the pretty ones? He doesn't care at all. He's a good, honest, hardworking kid. He can skate, but he works hard. And you know, they got the young buck, and you know, I think, and maybe people are mad at me, I do think the best 08 birth year player period in the league, other than maybe Finn Werner, the goalie, and Flin Flon, is Cash Lanigan there on Yorkton. So hey, there's depth both ways, and Yorkton certainly has it too.
Yeah, well, if your name is Cash and you're in this league, you have a pretty good chance that you're a pretty good player so far, it seems. Let's look at Kindersley's roster now as we continue to look at the matchup tonight. This is, of course, the home team. Avery Johnson leading the way with 30 points in 26 games. Rylan Wheeler down there, he had such a great year last year. He's come back and had a great start to the year, I should say, this year. Brock Evans Evans seems like he's played 6,000 games in this league, but he's still only 19. So this guy continues to put up a near point per game pace, doing a great job. And look at those power play numbers again beside his name as well. Van Egger with 15 points in 24 games, the 20-year-old. Russ Demo is going to have to step up. We talked about how Riley Cormier is going to step up for Yorkton. Russ Demo is a guy who, I don't know if he's in the lineup because he's missed a couple of games, but he's a guy who might have to step up a little bit for Kindersley here as they're missing Jackson Herchak. Bryson Akins is a brand new acquisition. Of course, he was traded for Austin Ashovi, sorry. Wow. Austin Ashovi just last week, and Bryson Akins has just kind of started to find his way into the lineup, Nugsy. Who stands out? The Perlingers are on this team. Guys like Jacob Dennis have had a good season. Kindersley, what's the key to success for Kindersley here?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's the collective. They don't have, a superstar. I think Avery Johnson could be a superstar, if he can find that consistency. Obviously, 30 points in 26 games.
Decent.
Is pretty good. I would love the addition of Bryson Akins, big body down the middle. I think they were feeling like they were a little bit smaller up front. Add a guy like Bryson Akins, big guy from Melfort. That's a perfect fit for them up the middle too. And they got some players, and they've even though they don't have a ton of 05s, they've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of junior games. So I think it'll be a heavy, hard-nosed game. Two teams that like to play the same way. That should be a lot of fun.
I'm going to save the keys to the matchup for after our interview with Kyle Schneider and off the show. But right now, we're actually going to be joined by Yorkton Terriers head coach and general manager Emery O'Lawson on the video chat line. So let's go hint to him now. And Emery coming off of an overtime loss earlier this week to Weyburn, but the boys have been flying lately, coming into tonight against a pretty tough Kindersley opponent. What can you tell us about your mindset going into the game tonight?
You know what? We want to kind of continue the way we've been playing. Our last dozen games have been strong, including the game in Weyburn. So individual results is never going to kind of change the way we feel about ourselves. And yeah, we're just going to kind of continue rolling the way we have, and hopefully our practice habits this week carry over into the weekend.
Gotta ask you, you don't usually see splits like this, but you guys have been maybe the best road team in the SJHL this year. Statistically, that really bears out. What has been the key to success for you guys going out on that road and taking care of business? 55 goals for, plus 14 goals difference. It's a pretty good look in terms of the SJHL, where every night is tough.
Yeah, you know what? If I knew exactly the answer to that question, we would just replicate it at home. But I think it's being on the road takes a little bit of pressure off, especially in Yorkton. We're very blessed to have pretty big crowds every night now. Over the last couple of years, usually you drop the puck and 1,000 people are there, and yeah, some of our guys, especially when you got 4 or 5 local guys, I think they feel a little bit more pressure with friends and family in the stands. That's no excuse. We want to be better at home, and maybe it's something far simpler. Our opponents aren't ready for us when we're on the road, or we've faced very, very good opponents in Yorkton. We've already faced Humboldt, Melfort, Flin Flon twice. There's probably some of that too. So, yeah, to answer your question, I don't know. The guys are good on the road. I think getting out out of Yorkton and maybe taking a little bit of pressure off has some benefit for our scoring depth, and we're making better plays on the road right now.
Obviously, a lot of success on the ice, but one guy that's not going to be with you this weekend, at least, is Tommy Reese. We kind of joked just before we started chatting here that Tommy's on the ice a lot, 28 minutes a night kind of player, and he's not with you now as he's at the World Junior A Challenge, so good for him. 22 points in 22 games, though, for Tommy. What does that mean for your blue line group? Who has to step up, and how do the roles change for your group?
Well, you know what? I mean, Tommy gets a lot of ice time, but a lot of it's the fun ice and power play and offensive zones. And I mean, he gets ice in every situation. So, yeah, we just look at it as opportunity. Mikhail Buds has really been coming along. I think he's played great, under Tommy, and there's no problem with him stepping up into more minutes. He's in great shape. Brett Buckley, Sumner, Hertz, Cormier, Heil. I think just by committee, guys get a couple more minutes each, and they're certainly deserving of that. So, yeah, it's a just an amazing opportunity for Tommy to be away from the team and not hurt. And it's a good opportunity for us to kind of, bump guys up in the lineup and see what they can do. And especially, with, the January 10th and roster freeze deadlines kind of looming, it's a really good opportunity for us to kind of prove, like, you know what, we have scoring depth. We've talked about our forward depth all year, but in our coach's office, we believe we've got great goaltending and defensive depth, and that will be certainly tested over these 3 games.
Yeah, for sure. No, you talk about depth, and obviously, every week we often talk about the Corshane line, and for good reason, because it's one of, if not the best lines in the league, to be honest with you. I'm sure you would agree with that. But the Valence line there with Vinny Junek and Cash Lanigan, who we all love, has been outstanding too. Just talk about, especially those 3 boys. You got the local boy there, Junek, and you got, two younger bucks there with them, Saskatchewan boys, by the way. All 3, pretty cool to see there. Just talk about that line that maybe doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, they get love here, that's for sure. And it kind of all happens by chance. We love all of our forwards here. We wouldn't invest time, energy, sticks, billet money, all that kind of stuff in them if we didn't believe that they could help us win. So in year 3, my 3rd year here in Yorkton, we've really kind of, in my mind, the standard is higher, and we expect when we take guys out of the stands, they could go on any line and be successful, and that's what we've got in Valence. That line, we're giving them a lot of love right now, but one of them 17-year-old true rookie, and one of them was in the stands a week and a half ago, and when we took him out and plopped him in the Melville game, he quickly showed us that that's not where he belongs. He actually belongs between the boards, and I think he's got 7 points in his last 3 games. So we can talk all we want about Valence, but he's a great teammate, and obviously it takes a lot of character to be okay sitting in the stands and continue to push yourself and be ready for the opportunity when called upon.
Coming into the season, I know one of your biggest probably points of having a strength was having Callum Craig coming back after his season last year. It was nice to have him, but your projected starter tonight is Alejandro Montoya, obviously a rookie, and he's been playing some great hockey as well. What can you tell us about him and how he's come in and kind of, really lived up to, put in a really good effort in his role so far?
Yeah, again, high character kid. He doesn't, his body language and the way he is around the rink, it doesn't change whether he's, starting back-to-back games or sitting for a week. You look at a kid, the last time he was between the pipes, our opponent scored 0 goals. So not often do you see a goalie come out of the net after that. But he did. One of the goals he stopped was with a bare hand on his catcher side. So even when his catcher wasn't on, he made a big save. And that's what's held him out here the last 3 in a row, paired with Callum's exceptionally strong play too. So it's Alex's turn to jump into the net and do his thing. And from the start of the year, we've had full trust in both, and neither probably had the start they wanted, but they're certainly rolling now.
For sure. Now, obviously, 2 very different teams you guys are from last year with you and Kindersley. But last year, I don't need to tell you, it was suffocatingly tight between you guys. 3 of the 4 1-goal games, combined 19-17. Were the scores. I guess obviously Kyle Schneider's in there now in Kindersley, but they have a core that's very much similar. I guess, do you see it that way? Do you see the Clippers are just a similar team that are another year more seasoned, or do you see Kyle Schneider's kind of done something maybe a little different than Clayton Jardine in terms of a guy who's trying to beat them?
Yeah, you know what? They're a very dangerous team. Obviously, not just us last year. I look at their body of work this year, and they're playing close games every night. It seems like a lot going overtime. They're picking up a lot of singles. If they're losing, they're not losing by much. And I expect we're going to have 120 plus minutes of very hard, hot, contested, close hockey here in Kindersley starting tonight. And credit to not only the roster build that Clayton left behind, but it's never easy to step into someone else's office and make yourself as as useful as Kyle has. But man, the team's playing good in front of them, and it's got to be a credit to the whole staff there, and obviously the leadership group, and kind of that transition has been seamless. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough weekend, but it's gonna be a great challenge for us, and we look forward to it.
Well, it all starts tonight, like you said, 2 games against Kindersley. Tonight is the big Friday night spotlight. So, Emery, appreciate your time, and good luck over the weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, we just talked with Emery Lawson of the Yorkton Terriers. Now we'll go to the hometown team and talk to Kyle Schneider, head coach of the Kindersley Clippers, going into a big weekend for you guys, Kyle. Obviously, last weekend, a bit of a tough matchup, a tough opponent up in Flin Flon. What's the message coming back into this week and now going into a pretty big weekend? It's your parents' weekend, I guess, against the Yorkton Terriers. What's the messaging?
Yeah, no, obviously, thanks for having me on. And yeah, I think there's highs and lows in a season. I thought we got off to a great start this year. We've been playing well, we've been scoring lots of goals, and obviously last week didn't go as planned. But at the same time, I think it was there's lots of positives to take out of it, and there's deficiencies to address. So we get back to Kindersley, we got a week of practice to work on some of the areas that we need to get better, and we focused on those areas and practiced with a purpose. And it is exciting leading into a big parents' weekend for us and homestand here in Kindersley.
Yeah, that's awesome. Always important to play in front of the home crowd. Now, I got to ask you. Obviously, it was kind of a joke, probably not within your coach's room, about how many times they're going to overtime and getting that point. Were you kind of seeing it as we're gritty, we're finding ways to get points, or do you see it more as you kind of left some points at the table earlier in the year?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest with you, Noogie. We crawled our way back into some of those games, and I thought we showed a lot of heart and character to find a way to get a point. At the same time, we did have some third period leads that we gave up. So I think that's just a lot of different factors, but just finding a way to be consistent throughout 60 minutes and finish games strong, regardless of the score. But overall, I do think it's a resilient group, and I think we got a lot of character in this room. And yes, we've been to overtime more than we would like, but at the same time, we are getting points on the board, and we will take them when we can get them.
Yeah, for sure. We just talked to Emery about not having Tommy Reese in the lineup for the Terriers due to the World Junior A Challenge. You also have somebody on that list in Jackson Herchak. So I'll ask you the exact same question I asked Emery. Who steps up, who fills in, and how do the roles get adjusted to fill in for a guy like Jackson?
Yeah, obviously it's a great opportunity for both Jackson and Tommy to represent the SJHL at the World Junior A Challenge. I think I've said it from the start of the season, our depth is our biggest strength here in Kindersley. We have lots of veteran guys on our back end. We're hopeful that Russ Demo is able to get back in our lineup this weekend. He's a big piece for us back there in all situations on our power play, penalty kill, and obviously 5-on-5. Jacob Dennis has had a really solid season. He's a blue collar. There's been a lot of defensemen that look a lot like Jacob Dennis. You know what you're getting every night out of him, and he's been a great leader for us. I think those would be two that we'd rely on to step up and kind of fill in for some of the offensive Jackson. But at the same time, I look at a guy like Cohen Loney, who's just been steady Eddie for us. He's a big body, but I don't think he gets enough credit for how good his touches and his puck moving skills are.
Yeah, big body and maybe a little bit of a. I think big is maybe too small of a word when you mention Cohen Loney. I was going to ask you, obviously, we all know how good of a player Austin Oshovy is. So I don't mean anything negative about it, but I just mean, what does it say about who you guys had already that you felt comfortable making that move to send Oshovy to Melfort? And obviously, what do you feel like you've gotten back, and what have you gotten back already from getting Bryson Aikens?
Yeah, we had, as a staff, we identified an area where we wanted to get better up the middle. I think when you have an opportunity to add a guy with championship experience like Bryson, who played with a really solid lineup last year in Melfort and learned a lot from some of those older players. I think when you have an opportunity to add a player like that, you got to take it. Now, in order to get a good player in return, you're going to have to give something up. And I don't have a bad word to say about Austin. He's a veteran blue liner. He's played a lot of junior hockey. He was a a very good Clipper in his tenure or his 2 tenures here. But we feel like we got better as a group and got deeper as a group up front, and we're excited to have Bryson. He's a big, strong, solid 200-foot centerman. I think there's a lot of offense to his game, but he doesn't give up anything in our end either. So we're really excited to have him here, and it's good for him to get in a week of practice too. Last week we kind of threw him on the bus and got her going before he even got to move into a bill at home. So I'm looking for a big weekend out of Bryson this coming weekend against Yorkton.
That's good news. Not many coaches get to boast having a guy who was up for awards last year in net, returning to your team to start a season. Brett O'Halloran had a slow start to the year, just I think some health stuff. Matthias Radke, you can maybe talk about him in this answer as well, stepped up really great. But let's talk about Brett O'Halloran, your projected starter for tonight's game. What has he meant for your group, just coming back with some of that experience from last year, where he stepped in for Cody Jamin a lot last year, and Brett O'Halloran is now, him and Matthias Radke have a similar relationship this year. What can you tell us about Brett O'Halloran, though, as your projected starter for tonight's game?
Yeah, Brett is he's a competitor. I think that's his biggest strength is he's ready to go any night. He competes just as hard in practice as he does in games. I actually thought Brett had a phenomenal weekend in Flin Flon. He gave us an opportunity to win both those games when we were heavily outshot, and he is an outstanding goalie. I think he would be arguably the top one in the league. I know he gives a lot of confidence to our team playing in front of him, and at times Matthias Radke has stepped up for us and won some big games as well. Again, speaking to the depth of our team, but Brett is our rock and he is our guy, and anytime he's in the net, I feel like we have a chance to win.
Yeah, and finally, just a last one from me. Just a quick word on the opposition. Obviously, Emery Lawson, has come in and did a wonderful job turning the Yorkton Terriers organization around. I don't need to tell you. Obviously, you've been in the league for a long time. But what do you see from them that you think might pose the biggest challenge for you guys?
Yeah, I think once again our league is very close. There's small margins that separate teams. When you look at Yorkton, their power play has been a big key to their success this season. I think they're clicking at around 25%. You look at their penalty kill as well. I think is in the top 5 in the league. So special teams is going to be a big factor this weekend. I also think they have some experience. They also are getting contributions up and down their lineup. Their depth probably doesn't get enough credit as they should. So I think they're two pretty evenly matched teams, and what it comes down to most nights in the SJHL is want and will, and we're going to try and be the hungrier group.
Well, perfect. It's a big weekend for you, so we're going to let you get going and get back to work here, Kyle, but appreciate your time, and good luck with everything going on this weekend.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
There we go. Kyle Schneider. He's doing some big things in there in Kindersley in his first year as a head coach, Nugsy. I'm going to give you the final word of the show. I teased everybody that we're going to save the keys to the game for both teams for now. So final word to you, keys to the game for Yorkton, Kindersley. What are you looking forward to most tonight?
Yeah. What we saw yesterday with Yorkton against Weyburn was the decor. Just keep it simple. Manage that puck, because Kindersley loves turnovers. They love to take advantage of turnovers. So manage the puck well, especially for the Yorkton decor without Tommy. For the Kindersley Clippers, it's usually the same with the Kindersley Clippers. It's stay disciplined. This Yorkton power play. We talk about how good Tommy is. The Yorkton power play is more about Gabriel Corshane for me.
Sure.
As good as Tommy is. So, Kindersley, stay out of the box, stay disciplined, keep your emotions in check, and you'll be all right. Terriers need to just manage that puck and not have those odd man rush chances against.
There you go. It's going to be a great weekend. It's Parents' Weekend in Kindersley, so you're going to want to get out to the rink. If you're in the area, get out to Inter Pipeline Arena, get your tickets for tonight or tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. Lots of games across the league. If you're watching as a different fan from a different fan base, get out to the rinks. It's going to be great. If you're listening to tonight's game, you can check out Devin Hayworth's call tonight, voice of the Kindersley Clippers. He'll have the call for you if you're watching on Flow Hockey, if you're listening on the air. For Nugsy, for everybody in the back, it's been another great edition of the Canalta Hotel's Friday Night Spotlight. The Yorkton Terriers and the Kindersley Clippers. It's going to be a great game tonight. Could change some spots in the standings, Who knows? Get out to the rinks and enjoy for another edition of Friday Night Spotlight. I'm Clark Monroe. Again, Jamie Neugebauer, Bryce, Jordan in the back here at IKS Media. We'll talk to you again next time.